Hi, everyone. Kyle Hoffman from the USDA Mid-Atlantic. Thanks for joining in. Today's session is going to be about looking at being recruited at the Division II level. With us today is Coach Jeff Splinter. He's from Frostburg University. He's the head men's and women's tennis coach. Coach, how you doing today?
Oh, good, Kyle. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you hopping on with us. And we know you're going to give us some unique perspective for those that may or may not be familiar with the Division II level and how to be recruited at that level.
Yeah, I think Frostburg is like I said, a Division II school. We just transitioned into a Division II school 3 years ago. So, I've learned a lot since becoming a head coach, and I've been head coach here at Frostburg for about 5 years now. So, moving through that process from a Division III coach to a Division II coach, I've really expanded what I've kind of learned and fully embodied the Division II culture now.
Cool. Well, and we're going to dive into that here in just a few minutes, but let's backtrack the history a little bit and let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started into tennis.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, or a suburb of Chicago for those in Chicago, and grew up and went to college at NAI school outside of the city at Judson University. And then upon graduating, decided to embark in my coaching journey. So I decided to move over here on the East Coast at the College of New Jersey. And I was a full-time assistant coach there for a year. And then moved back home to Illinois to coach at Millikan for a year and a half. And the graduate assistant position opened up here at Frostburg, and kind of realized that coaching is something that I really wanted to do and pursue, and knew the master's was probably one of the best ways to get myself into a head coaching position. And came over here after a year and a half. The head coach here at Frostburg had decided to leave for another school. And then I got bumped up into the head coaching position, and the athletic director was very supportive of me and knew what I was kind of capable of and was doing as an assistant coach. So yeah, I've been a head coach here ever since. So about 5.5 years now, and I think first coming into Frostburg, me and the head coach were building this team from kind of the ground up, where not a lot of players have been competitive playing in tournaments, and now we have a lot of USTA and high school level players where they've gone really far into the high school tournament, or have played in some really competitive USTA tournaments as well.
Awesome. And it's been fun getting to personally know you a little bit and kind of watching that journey and transition from the D3 to D2 level, which I know is not an easy thing. But, that being said, I know you've got to kind of experience kind of both levels with that. And the recruiting, I'm sure, has been a little bit different. And we'll touch on that here in a few minutes. But tell us maybe what's one of your favorite memories that you've had so far as a coach.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think one memory that sticks out, for better or for worse, is my first official match as a coach at the College of New Jersey. I actually was sick, so they weren't sure what I had. This is way back. It's like 7-8 years ago, and I had to coach from like behind the glass, just in case. So that was a really a really interesting welcome into college tennis, where I had no idea what I was doing, and I had to try and do that behind the glass, almost like a hockey coach. It was kind of interesting. So hand signals. We're kind of doing what we can for doubles, and getting into singles, just trying to calm some people down from 40-50 feet away was a tough task. But and then I think the memories that stick out the most to me are really how much the team kind of sticks together, and those activities we do outside of tennis. So every year here at Frostburg, we do like an annual bowling competition that kind of accumulates everything that we've worked over the fall semester. So we kind of involve that with a lot of like the lifting goals and things like that. So it's always really competitive. And I don't like to tell any of the kids this, but I come from a pretty good bowling background. So they don't really realize that till we get on the on the lanes there.
So are you still undefeated against your players?
I can't say that. I don't think, there's always one or two. But yeah, I think, those are the best memories, I think, as a player and as a coach is, obviously, the winning and grinding together on the court, but it's always what happens off the court that kind of makes the most imprint.
And I think that's pretty critical for a lot of players that are watching this and parents that are checking in on this as well, is that it's about finding the right fit. I know everybody gets kind of caught up into the levels and looking at the different options that they may have, but you spend a lot of time with yourself as the coach, with the other players, in and around the season, and you're also going there for that education piece. And I think it's really important to kind of find that right fit and bond that you're comfortable with and getting that experience, because I'm sure those kids are walking away saying, hey, I got to either work on my bowling game a little bit, or maybe after they graduate they're probably still thinking about the times that they had in college doing that with the team, with the coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. I think whichever program students kind of decide to go to, they're gonna get that tennis piece, and it's really how much work they put in themselves, because we had one of our players here my first or second year. He came in as a freshman, played number 14 on the team. By the spring semester, he was playing number 5 singles, and then by his junior senior year, he was playing 1 and 2 singles in Division II conference. So he started off as a number 14 Division III player, and worked like a dog every day, putting in extra work on his own, serving, really focusing on certain things that we really talked to him about. And because of his drive and his effort, and maybe a little coaching, I'm not going to take full credit, but I think he really wanted that piece, and he wanted to start his freshman year. So he went out and set some goals and really overachieved and continued to be one of the better players here at Frostburg in a long time.
Yeah, and I think that's also important too, is that sometimes you might walk into a situation where you may not be immediately in the lineup, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to find playing time or not find yourself in the lineup at some point. But just because you've worked hard to get to that point doesn't mean the work stops. So it's always neat to hear players that may have found themselves further down a lineup than they expected, but still putting in the work to give themselves an opportunity. And of course, the coaches recognize that and find that playing time for those players when they're up and ready to go. So really good advice. And so just kind of walking us through some of the recruiting process, what advice would you give to a junior player or parent when they're starting this process?
I think looking back at my own process, there wasn't much of a process. So in my estimation, the earlier that you start, the better. Not necessarily contacting coaches, but just knowing what you are in your game and kind of focusing on a couple of things and getting better with those things, and then focusing on another couple of things. It's tough as a junior player to do all things at one time. So really focusing in on that consistency piece, and once you get the consistency piece down, really focusing on taking advantage of approach shots and kind of working your game from there. The difference I've kind of noticed with Division III to Division II recruits and players is Division III, a lot of very long rallies and student athletes who are just really excited to play tennis and just keep a rally going. Where Division two, you hit some of those shots and the point's over. So, it's really making sure that, when you get those put away balls, no matter at whatever level, that you feel comfortable enough that you can go for those over and over again. And, you only need to hit, 60% of them in really to play winning tennis. So, it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be, something where you feel you have to hit a certain spot. Like you just hit a zone or an area, and you feel really good about that.
And I think that's important too. I know in our other video for talking about the Division three, they talked a little bit more on having multi-sport athletes or potential recruits at that level too. And it sounds like a little bit more at the Division two level, maybe a little bit shorter rallies with that too. But is there a type of athlete that you're kind of looking at more at the Division two level that you've noticed maybe a difference between Division three, Division two that maybe helps some of the kids when they're looking?
Yeah, I think we're always looking for exceptional leaders. I think that's whatever level really. I think every coach is looking for those guys that can come in as freshmen and aren't afraid to speak their mind with certain things on the team. And we have a fantastic team culture here where there's never any issues with anything, but all of our guys feel comfortable calling each other out for not giving 100% in an agility drill, or maybe taking a rep off in the weight room, or they're not feeling 100% on the tennis court, and you can definitely see that. So all of our players will call each other out when they see any slacking going on. And I think that's one of the intangible things that every coach kind of looks for. And at the Division two level, we're really looking for players who are pretty solid in their game and kind of know what they're trying to do. We play in a pretty tough conference in the Mountain East, and we play up against a lot of very confident tennis players. I'd say 70 to 80% of them are international as well, and it feels like the international players are a little bit more mature in kind of like their game style. And for the US players, it's really continuing to build on what they've been doing their entire junior career, and continuing to capitalize on what they're doing.
And with that too is an interesting comment that you just made with it as well. Is do you see kind of a difference in the number of international players at the D2 level from the D3 level?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely feels like there are a lot more in Division two. But I mean, hearing and saying that, it feels like Division three is starting to open up to that as well. It definitely, you look at some of the top teams outside of like the Northeast, they're really going international as well. And, it's great kind of giving everyone the opportunity to play. There's a lot of players in the United States that do get their opportunities, and there's an opportunity for anyone in any school. So, there is a school out there for you if you're looking to play tennis, and you just have to find and keep contacting coaches for the right fits, and kind of doing some research to figuring out who fits you, as well as who do you fit.
And I think that's great advice, because I think sometimes players get a little discouraged when they're looking for their schools, and they realize maybe this is not the right school for them, and feel like, well, I don't have a school that I can go play college tennis. But I mean, there's a lot of coaches out there that are always looking for players and always have opportunities available to players that want to play. It's just keeping an open mind and looking around, and just keeping your options open to where that fit might be. And I think that one of the things too, Jeff, and I appreciate kind of giving some of that insight, because you do have a lot of that experience between the Division three and Division two, and have kind of seen some of the changes and differences, and seeing how the market's kind of changing with that too. But we still have a lot of players that are looking. Now with some of the internationals that are coming in, and making themselves more marketable to coaches and being a little maybe more aggressive at times to get in front of the coach. What would be your advice in terms of helping a player make themselves more recruitable to a coach?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest things is getting a recruiting video available. That's always the best way to sell yourself in front of a coach. It's not the end all be all, but it's definitely a start in the direction to where a coach gets an email. We get a lot of emails about a lot of coaches or a lot of players. So having that video piece to kind of click on and watch, I spend a lot of my time throughout the day, watching player videos and reading emails and, responding back to players. I think it makes it a lot easier to respond if we have a visual. So, giving your grades and that initial email kind of describing who you are, kind of your work ethic and who you are and what you're interested outside of tennis is really important to me. I we love players that are 100% tennis, but I love players that are even more into something else because tennis is a frustrating sport, and if you lean on it 100% of the time, you're going to be disappointed sometime throughout the year. So you always have to have that hobby or that something that you can kind of go back to go back into your dorm and relax after a tough practice or a 3-set battle, and whether you come out on top or not, you don't want to be thinking about that the rest of the weekend before practice on Monday. So yeah, just creating a video and nothing more than 8 to 10 minutes I think is more than enough, showcasing some forehand, backhand, volleys, and serves, and then really getting into some uncut match play is the most important thing. A lot of coaches are looking at body language and demeanor between points, and it's always the small things because at the Division II level, everyone can play at a high level, and it's really how you carry yourself and how you can react to certain things.
Well, I think one thing you just said right there too that I just want to highlight is you made the comment of saying it's uncut video. I know a lot of times
Yeah.
that players love to edit video and make it to where they're winning every point and fast forwarding through points in between. But look, you're not going to win every point, and there are times that when you're not winning a point, the coach wants to see how you react. And I know a lot of the coaches have made that comment over the year of really appreciating those uncut videos. They can take a quicker look at what's going on and what you're thinking and what you're doing in between points. So I think that's a real key when you're going to make that video.
Yeah, absolutely. And losing is okay. I think you don't always have to win in order to make a really good video. Sometimes when we're playing against really good players and players that are better than us, you see more than what normally you're capable of. And, because you're on video, you're stretching for balls that maybe you wouldn't normally go get, but, it really shows that the extra gear that a lot of players can go to. And, that's really the things that we look for.
Yeah, and the other part that I would just kind of piggyback on too is just maybe identifying who the person is that you're playing with in the video, which I know for a lot of coaches, they like to kind of get a sense of, what level that you're playing against if they are looking up results and things like that to just kind of get a feel for, who you're playing with on it too. But a lot of great points on that. And I know, from the Mid-Atlantic standpoint, we're trying to put some information and stuff together on just some recommendations on how to do videos, and we're happy to share that for anybody that's in the early process of doing that. And then of course, Coach, one last question for you, and we're going to let you off the hook, but and this is a fun one, but in 3 words, how would you describe tennis in the Mid-Atlantic?
Yeah, so I'm from the Midwest, obviously, and we have Pittsburgh kind of near here in Frostburg. So, what I see out of a lot of our recruits and a lot of kids that I'm going to see play is kind of like that hard hat lunch pail mentality, where you know, I think that really describes a lot of guys and girls in the area is, you know, there's no free points, there's no there's no quitting. It's, you know, they're really giving everything they have in every point, and that's something that I've really come to notice since moving out here, and you know, going to a lot of these tournaments and state tournaments, and you know, really seeing a lot of people play is, you know, it's a high level of tennis every match, and it's really exciting to watch.
Yeah, and I think that's kudos to a lot of coaches and providers out there, you know, really just making their kids tough and being able to battle, and, you know, the culture of the parents and stuff to raise them right. So, well, Coach, we appreciate your time today. We appreciate everybody that's taking the time to watch the video. Make sure to check out our coach resource library and check out the USTA Mid-Atlantic YouTube page. Thanks, everyone, and we'll have another video soon.